So I'm sure you guys are super excited that the Ask Me Anything is here. You guys posted a ton of questions, and to our delightful surprise, a lot of them got upvoted really well, which made things clear for us to see what are the questions that you guys want answered for our first set in this video series. Coming in with 110 votes, which is the most popular question, is a number of questions that all deal with Megan and I. So the first question is, Megan, how did you and I meet?
How did you and I meet? Okay, so if you're going back to it, my mom and Joel's Aunt April were friends when they were younger because they all lived in Florida. My family is from Florida, and Joel's cousins, Andrew, Matthew, Daniel, they would all go down to Florida every year. So while Joel and his cousins came down to visit in Florida for vacation, a couple of them decided to go and see my family. My sister Lauren met Joel's cousin Andrew, and they ended up getting married a couple years later.
And that is how I met Megan, because Lauren and Megan are sisters. And so with Andrew being one of my best friends, we always hung out together, and Megan being Lauren's sister, we ended up getting to know each other and became good friends. In fact, we were friends for a long time, for a couple years to be precise, and that friendship just blossomed into eventually us liking each other, and to the point that we decided to get married.
So the very shortened version is that Joel's family knew my family, and we kind of met through all that.
And so that answers the question on how I met Megan. Now for our next question. A continuation of the first question is, how long have we been married?
Exactly 2 years and 7 months.
At the time of this recording. We were married April 24th, 2021. Our next question deals with a little bit about the Veggie Boys, and that is, do the Veggie Boys ever go horseback riding with us?
The Veggie Boys, no, they all haven't rode horses since they were little. Some of them used to, but they were quite young then. But the Veggie Girls, yes. One being me, and a couple others being Lauren and Tracy in the past.
And we always invite the Veggie Girls that if they ever did want to go horseback riding, they are welcome to go horseback riding with us. But something to keep in mind is we used to have upwards of 10 horses that were all ours personally, back when we did our horseback riding program. Now we only have 4 horses, and each horse is for us personally. So if we ever wanted to go on a ride, it would have to be a situation where either my mom and dad don't come, and then those 2 horses we let other people ride, or we don't go, and then those 2 people would ride our horse. It's kind of a situation like that now. But if you're curious on what Veggie Boys did ride horses, that would be Matthew and Timothy. And I believe Andrew rode horses a little bit here and there, but not so much. And to my knowledge, Daniel, Tyler have never ridden horses. They may have gotten on one, just not with me around. So this picture right here is actually Matthew, back when he was riding horses. Look how adorable he looks. And then this is a picture of Timothy with us while we would go horseback riding. And there actually was a time when Matthew, Timmy, and myself all went horseback riding together. But as we all got older, we went horseback riding less and less. Of course, me being involved with the horses a lot more, my horseback riding eventually did pick up, and I do mostly riding recreationally. But Matthew and myself actually competed. This was a picture that was taken at a horse show, and you can see in the picture there's Matthew in the red, me in the yellow, and Timothy in the plaid shirt. And here you can see us in the riding arena, and there's Matthew over there on the left. So fun times indeed. Now, would they ever want to go horseback riding again? The offer's always there, but we'd leave that up to them. For our next question, it was a good one, which was, how old was I when I started working with the horses, and what was my responsibilities then? Ever since I existed in this world, I have been around horses, but I really started working at the horse stable right when I was about to be a teenager, so right about 12 to 13 years old was when I started working at the stable. My responsibilities were to clean this field. We did not have a tractor at the time, so the way that this field was cleaned was with the good old-fashioned manure fork. So I would head out with a wheelbarrow. I would fill that wheelbarrow up with manure, and then we'd take it, wheel it all the way through the barn, and put it outside the barn on the other side in the big field. At the time, we did not have near as many horses as we do now, but that was my job. I was here every single day, and I had to get 1 wheelbarrow load of manure every single day. And just in case you're curious what my pay was, it was however many years I was old, and that was per week. So for a 13-year-old, I got $13 a week, and let me tell you, that was some pretty good money back then. It allowed me to be able to get the things that I wanted to get And it also taught me the importance and value of saving and keeping money and then using it instead of spending what you don't have. Of course, that responsibility grew over time. We upgraded from a wheelbarrow to using the four-wheeler and a manure wagon, but not those wagons. I had an old metal wagon that I used, and my quota was to fill that metal wagon every single day. At times, I would be sneaky, and I would try to get through the barn without my mom noticing that I only filled it 3/4 instead of all the way, but she always managed to catch me, and the discipline for me trying to be sneaky was I had to go back out and fill it all the way to the top again. 2 loads instead of 1. It made an impression. Of course, that grew and grew over time to the point that by the time I was about 16 years old, I was manager of the stable and making business decisions for the operation of this facility, including what you guys are looking at right here. These stalls were part of a new addition. You can kind of tell how they've been added onto the barn. This was a big part of us turning our facility from 16 stalls to 20 stalls. And the only way this was going to happen was if I had decided to commit to working at this facility and not be going anywhere else. So once I committed to that decision, we made the stalls, and honestly guys, I haven't looked back. I'm very proud of what my family has accomplished, and it's really awesome that not only our family works here with the horses and takes care of this facility, but that the greater family, including the Veggie Boys, all works together here on this beautiful farm. It's a privilege, and I am so thankful for that every single day. We're here with Gavin for our next set of questions. Gavin, a lot of people are curious what you and Petey do when you're not working for the stable or the Veggie Boys. So we'll start with Petey. So I'll answer for Petey. So Petey didn't have a job, and that was why you guys saw him all the time over with the Veggie Boys. He spent most of his free time helping us on the farm. He was never employed on the farm. We mentioned that he kind of just showed up one day and he was with us for a whole summer and fall, and then he was with us for this entire season. But he now has a job. So he's working for a private development, taking care of the roads and making sure that they don't have any issues up there. That's new. So you guys may have noticed you're gonna be seeing Petey a lot less. And Pete, if you're watching, we're very happy for you, buddy. As for Gavin.
So as you know, on Tuesdays, I'm here helping Joel, and on Thursdays is my day to feed. But on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I devote a good chunk of my time to volunteer work. And when I'm not doing that, I've started recently helping Joel edit his videos.
You guys may have noticed a slight difference in the videos, or maybe you haven't, but he's doing an absolutely great job, and I definitely appreciate the help. Thank you, Gavin, for answering that personal question. That was super nice of you.
Anytime.
All right, now, you guys have gotten a lot of questions answered, but since we have Gavin here, we're gonna answer just a few more.
So Joel, this is a question for you.
Okay.
What are some ways horses show love and affection towards their owners?
So the first thing when it comes to affection from horses is respect. Respect is a huge deal with these animals. And just the simple fact that they respect me enough to let me come up to them, they don't run away from me, that's like the best thing. But there's even further levels of affection that people really it just melts your heart.
There's a follow-up to that one too. How does Obie, who is your horse, react when you're with him?
Well, a big thing that Obie tends to do is he will take his head and he'll rest it on me and close his eyes. As you can see. Another thing that he does is he listens to me when we're riding. So when we are out on the trails, he doesn't try to eat grass the entire time. He respects me. He also likes to race other horses. So I tend to let him do that. And because of that, he does reciprocate love towards me by being loving and respectful. So common thing you'll see with the horses is kind of like what RJ's doing here. I actually recently just rode RJ, so him and I are doing pretty good. And if anybody's never had the opportunity to pet a horse, they're very soft. Kind of a cross between a cat and a dog. I'm thinking like a teddy bear personally. This is how I would associate what they feel like. Obie loves his belly being rubbed. What's up, good looking? You want to say hi, everybody? Yeah. You want your belly rubbed? Here we go. See him curl his lip? And another thing I love to do is hugs. They're fun to hug. And then if you get really close to them, you can kind of do what I call the barrel hug, which is you come back here, just wrap your arms around them. It's like hugging a giant drum. Different things like that. And for all of my fellow horse owners, go ahead and comment down below the different ways that your horses show affection towards you. I'm sure everybody would like to read about that. So our next question.
Are coyotes a threat to horses and donkeys?
Simple answer, no, not at all. Neat little fact for you guys, but a lot of farmers actually will have donkeys, usually 1 or 2, with their cows to protect their calves from coyotes, because the donkeys will attack any coyotes that come near them. Horses, likewise, don't really have any problems from coyotes. Now, if we had wolves in the area, that would be some cause for concern, but we don't. And the coyotes literally don't bother the horses, and the horses could not care any less about the coyotes. As for the miniature donkeys, I'm pretty sure Buster would be happy to take them on. What do you think?
Absolutely. I once heard Buster say, the yotes got nothing. The last question is, can you do a family tree of the Veggie Boys and us to know who is who?
Woo! Well, this one we've answered a lot. Andrew has answered a lot on the Veggie Boys channel, and I've answered a couple times over here at A Stable Life, but for our Ask Me Anything, I expected this question, so we'd be happy to answer that as well. We're gonna put up a little chart here so that you guys can see everything and kind of make sense of everything that's taking place. Now, to keep this reasonably simple, I'm only gonna go to our grandparents. I'm not gonna go beyond our grandparents. So starting off at the top, we have my grandmother, or Grammy, you guys see her baking all the time, and my grandfather, or Ronnie. I don't remember the exact year, but I do know that it was when my mother was in her 20s. My grandfather sadly passed away. I actually have never had the opportunity and privilege to get to know him personally, but I've heard a lot of stories and he sounded like an amazing man. They had 3 children, the first being Brian, the second being Rhonda, and the third being my mother, Dawn. Brian married April down from Florida. Rhonda married Trey, and my mom, Dawn, married Jonathan. Starting with Brian and April, they had 3 sons. You've got the firstborn, Matthew.
The middle child, Andrew.
And the youngest,
Daniel.
Rhonda and Trey had 2 sons, the oldest being Timothy.
And the younger being Tyler.
And then my mom and dad only had 1 boy, and that would be me. My father has 2 brothers and 1 sister, and one of those brothers married Gavin's mom. And that's how Gavin ended up in our lives here. So Gavin came on down from Massachusetts, moved into the local area, and then Gavin and I pretty much became friends. And at this point, we practically look at each other as brothers. So that's how Gavin's related to me, sort of, through marriage, and he is not related to any of the other Veggie Boys. And then from that, you have who we married. So of Brian's 3 boys, all 3 are now married. As for marriage with Brian's family, Matthew married Tracy, Andrew married Lauren,
and Daniel married Sadie.
For Rhonda and Trey's kids, you've got Timmy, who married Autumn,
and Tyler, who married Hattie.
And then for me, you have me, who married Megan.
Now this is where things get a little confusing.
Andrew was the first of us to get married, and Lauren's sister is who I married. So Lauren and Megan are sisters. Not to mention that Lauren and Megan's cousin, Tracy, married Matthew.
And Lauren's best friend, Hattie, is the one that married Tyler.
And Hattie's sister married Daniel. Interestingly enough, all of them came up from Florida. The only one who got married to somebody who wasn't from Florida was Timothy. So there is our current family tree, and I hope that the lines and everything like that are able to kind of help you understand how everybody's working together. And if needed, we could do a more in-depth family tree talking about who's who later. But of course, I don't want to go so in-depth. I do want to respect a lot of these private people's lives. So that's everything for our first AMA. I hope that you guys really enjoyed it. This video took a little bit of extra work than our normal videos do, and I hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you haven't,
be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell.
And as always, we'll see you in the next one. You ready for the next one?
Always.